Good evening. I'm Geoff Goddin, Director in the O-Gauge Guild, in charge of membership and the forum. If you previously modelled in a different scale than 7mm, your way in may have been via purchasing, maybe when you were very young, a train set, locos, carriages and a circle of track or an oval of track to get that layout working and then learn all about stations and scenery and all the other things that go to make a proper model railway. Equally, if you're a very old modeller in 7mm, you may remember the concept of train sets in terms of clockwork Hornby train sets that came with a tank engine and track and trucks, often to be played with on the floor and put away at the end of your operating session. Things have been developing in O-Gauge in recent years to make the concept of actually starting out as either a novice or an upscaler a lot easier. Two things. One that you're probably well aware of and we'll see elsewhere in the virtual show is, here's an example, a DAPOL ready to run pannier tank. This one is in London Transport livery. I had to have one because here I live near the district line to Richmond, and these trains often ran the engineering services at night when the power was turned off. The other availability is that Pico have brought out a range of track that is sectional called set track. This is the standard curve. It's a 3'6" radius. They also do a point which shares the 3'6" radius as well as obviously straight, and they do straight track if you need it. The interesting thing is that virtually all the ready-to-run manufacturers, Helgen, DAPOL, Minerva, Ixion, in making their stock, use the Pico 3'6" radius as a standard for which their stock must operate on. You'll often see them advertise that they will operate on 40.5" curves, i.e. they've been tested out on the Pico track. So you can, with confidence, purchase your rolling stock, your locos, your coaches and your trucks, and purchase a track system, put them together, and they will run just like a train set, just as in the good old days. Or again, if you've come up with Bachmann or Hornby, you were used to the concept of the idea of being offered a set of both rolling stock and track in the same package, on the understanding that one will work with the other, and you've got no sort of problems about starting out. I have to say, Pico have recently changed. They intended to produce an oval of this track with a siding. They've changed their mind and now are going to produce what looks like 2 points, 2 curves, and some straights. So as you'll see, if you look at the Pico video, you'll see it'll either make a fan of sidings suitable for a long, thin layout, or it will make a short run round if you're trying to make a small station. However, I'm going to focus on, with my layout, the opportunity for using this track to actually make an oval and therefore be able to fit an O-Gauge layout in a room, as long as it's wider than 7 foot. Mine is 7'6", and of course a bit of length. Mine is 11'3". It gives you the opportunity to run a layout round and round. Some people like running that sort of layout. You can run your trains in, you can run services, you have much greater distances to run, as opposed to the classic sort of station to fiddle yard, or yard to fiddle yard, where you're basically manoeuvring your train and the operational interest is always rather limited. If you want to look at there are some excerpts of my railway coming up soon to show you both how you can operate an oval layout, and also dealing with one of the standard charges often made against using sharper curves in O-Gauge, that you're going to end up with buffer locks. My experience is, if you choose your stock and you lay your track carefully, clearly the smaller size stock, but that could include up to a 60-foot scale coach, you should not be troubled with buffer locking, as long as you're careful about the geometry of your track and the vehicles you put together to run on that track. So don't be put off by that, or at least start off with a small engine and four-wheel trucks and go up as you wish. There are a couple of examples of these kind of layouts. If you purchase the small layouts 2 volume, there are 2 layouts in that, St Wendred's Tramway and Little Fen, which are examples of layouts that could have been built with the Pico track if only it existed, of course, because that publication was from the year 2000 and this track only really became available in the last 6 or 7 years, and the points in the last 2 or 3 years. I will be writing regular articles in our house magazine, the Gageo Gazette, on issues like transition curves and scenically disguising curves if you do have a circular layout, and other matters pertaining to that genre of layout. So there will be assistance through the Gazette in the usual way. Anyway, I'll leave my introduction now, and this will be followed by excerpts of some real trains running on my layout, and I hope you enjoy the views. Thank you. Here is Box Hill Terrier number 482 coming across the viaduct with a typical goods train. The first 3 wagons are from kits, but the remaining wagons in the consist are all available commercially. Just to show you can run bigger engines, but not the biggest engines, on the Pico 3'6" radius curves. Here is my 43XX. Propelling, you notice 60-foot dapole coaches, quite happily. Just there, the junction has moved from curve to straight, no risk of buffer lock. Of course, shorter vehicles, in this case 4-wheel vehicles and the 6-wheel pink vehicle, always look better on the 3'6" radius curves. So coming off my curves into Kew Garden Station, the halt, where the train is only just long enough to fill the halt, and then exiting the halt on the other side across the Thames. Again, this train will propel as well as pull in both directions with no risk of buffer locking. And there's the train about to plunge into the tunnel. Dairy in the back there making use of the corner space. And the little train looks quite lost in my main station as it comes to a halt. A word about signals. The signal you see, the train passing, is actually the Hornby basic range. The signal arms could be a little larger, but the thing is grossly overscale for 00 and doesn't look too bad in O gauge as a temporary expedient, of course. Starter signals and distance signals are now available commercially, which actually operate, but I've not got to that stage yet. You'll also see some buildings here. There's a goods shed in the background, which is a proprietary kit, and in the foreground there is a store, Provinder store, which in fact is available as a ready-made building. Here you have a larger train running through the station throat. It shows you don't just have to run 060s and 040s. Here is a Prairie Loco 45XX. Was made by Lionheart, but Dapple are bringing out the equivalent in the very near future, and reverses through the reverse curve with no buffer locking. A traditional shot of the locomotive running ahead across the River Thames and into my tunnel. A word about disguising sharp curves. At this end, I have a bookcase built into my layout, and you'll notice that there is a short tunnel, which gives me a reason for the label going from somewhere to somewhere. That's one way of disguising, probably a rather drastic way of disguising your curve, your sharp curve at one end. At this end, I have used trees. The left-hand tree you can see will soon become a small gasometer because I'm building a gasworks for my goods yard to serve, giving you a regular reason for coal and coke traffic in and out of the goods yard. One advantage of the set track curves is you cannot get curve gauges in O-gauge for curves, I believe, less than 5 foot radius. Set track gives you an accurate 3.3 radius, and you'll notice here I've created a goods loop in order to apply a passing loop inside my 3.3 radius, which is only 3'2" radius. Because I've got the reference of the set track, I'm able to confidently create a flexible track into a reliable curve. It would have been very difficult to do without that formula.
Here is the 43 at 6 coming through Kew Halt and crossing the bridge over the Thames into the curve before it heads into London via Streatham Green.